What if we told you the story about a guy here from Iowa, from the central Iowa area, who decided that he's going to bicycle from Knoxville all the way to Colorado?
Oof.
And we're not just talking to the border, we're talking into Colorado because of a challenge that he made with his brother about 3.5 years ago. And joining us now from Yuma, Colorado is Chris Fee. He is here because his brother, who, full disclosure, very good friend of ours, was a champion in the Dirt Truck Series years ago. We competed against him, and we lost your brother about 3.5 years ago, Chris. But before he passed, you and him had a really special bond and made a little agreement, correct?
Yes.
All right, explain what that agreement was.
Well, the deal was that he asked me about riding. He wanted to do a ride. He says, I want to ride out of my driveway and into my daughter's driveway in Longmont, Colorado. And he says, none of my other friends are willing to do it. He said, would you be up for the challenge? And I said, yes. And 3 days later, he passed away.
Yeah, unexpectedly. We reported
Yes.
on that passing here on the program, too. It just took everybody, obviously, by surprise, totally off guard. But since that time, you have been working on making this journey and fulfill his wish, correct?
Yes. I've been working on this. It's one of those things that just, it's unfinished business that needs to be done. And so I've been working on how to put this together, how I was going to train for it, how I was going to pull it off. A time frame, and just trying to pull all the logistics together to make this happen. And not only to do the trip, but you knew Mark very well, and he never done anything on a small scale. He always went, if he was going in, he was going all in. And so I looked for a reason to make this a bigger purpose than just a guy riding a bicycle to fulfill a commitment. And so autism has been very prevalent in our society lately, and it's also touched our families, our circle of friends, and our circle of influence. And so I thought, you know, if that I can use that opportunity to help people become aware of autism and get people talking about autism and how that it, you know, can best be learned about, because my concern is people fear what they don't understand. And I know it's a cause that Mark would have gotten behind, and it just makes this gives this trip much more purpose than fulfilling a commitment.
Yeah, you can see on the screen here, folks, that is the name of the journey that Chris is on right now. Ride the #2 Colorado, the #4 Autism, N52. And want you to explain we understand the first part of it, but why don't you explain what the 52 is all about?
Well, the 52, I use the number 52 rather than his name because that was Mark's race number. And that was also the age that he passed away. So it has kind of a double meaning, but I identify him by the number 52.
Yeah, there is Mark in all his glory here. And that's his typical picture that we have up here now, wearing his Knoxville Raceway hat, because he was on the board at Knoxville Raceway. So he is very involved in motorsports as well. And the question we have for you is, while you're riding, do you feel that Mark is with you?
Yes, I do, very muchly so. When he had, knowing him, you had to know that he had these little, what they called Markisms, his little one-liners as he would walk away, and you know, things like the other morning I got up and it was pouring down rain, and I'm like, well, do I ride out in the rain or not? And what come to my mind was, it is what it is. That was one of his Markisms. And so, you know, it's things like that, and I identify that presence all along the way.
And you mentioned that he was a racer. He raced in stock cars. He raced in the truck series. Like we mentioned, he was the champion in the dirt truck series. But bicycling and bicycles got to be his passion toward the end. And he was on his bike all the time. And that's the reason that you're jumping on your bicycle, right?
Yes. Yes. In fact, just a couple of months before he passed, we were riding one day out on the trail. And he says, you know, He said, I can build motors, I can race cars, I can work at the track. He said, but I am just as happy and content riding this bicycle.
Chris, this is Jackie on CW Iowa Live. Kind of take us through your journey really quickly. Where did you start? Where are you at now? And where do you have left to go?
I started in my hometown of Knoxville, Iowa, and I have journeyed clear across southern Nebraska. I came through Nebraska City, and yesterday we actually passed into Colorado. Like we said earlier, I'm in Yuma, Colorado right now. I have covered 610 miles. I have 170 miles left, and I will be in Longmont on Saturday.
Wow, that is a game plan. Now, you mentioned that you're doing this to raise awareness for autism, and you do have a GoFundMe page. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that is for, the GoFundMe page is for the autismsociety.org. And it works with not so much the research, but it works more with helping the families of people with autism. And because typically if parents that have a child with autism, you know, it's difficult sometimes to get out in public to do things. And what this organization does is helps the family get out, like to a retreat or to get out and do things as a family and help support them and kind of give like the parents a break, things like that. So it's support for the families and children and people with autism.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Chris Fee, again, he's in Colorado right now, Yuma, Colorado, on his way to Longmont, Colorado, in honor of his brother and raising funds for autism. Your brother would be very proud of you, Chris, and we thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, there you go. Again, an Iowan doing an extraordinary thing, Jackie.
Unbelievable.